Hi. Of course, it ended right as I was trying to fix my in-ear. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Unfiltered Tea. It's, believe me, I know there's been so much, so much, and there's a lot that I want to talk about. And maybe we will, and maybe we won't. But news dropped that for Mainers, kind of a big deal, and the internet just lit up when this news, came out. Is it official yet? No, but the rumors have taken another step to Janet Mills possibly throwing her hat into the primary ring to be the Democratic candidate for Senate, which Lotta Main responded with, "Oh, oh, please, dear, please, just sit down and don't do it. Don't do it. Do not do it." Um. Anyway, very interesting since I'm currently listening to Kamala Harris's book, 107 Days. If you have not listened to that, if you have not read that, it's a hell of a read. It is oh boy. It's it's got all the tea in there. Well, not all the tea, but a lot of the tea in there. Um so yeah, I think tonight we are going to be main focused as opposed to, all of the national news. I am going to cover a couple of things with national stuff, mostly in that the administration is still throwing a very big temper tantrum and they just keep getting louder, which means we are doing what we should be doing. They are scared, they are panicked. Um, truly, in 107 days, I will say this: Kamala Harris and her team are very astute at reading the room, especially when it comes to MAGA and talking with MAGA and their general reactions to things. So, highly recommend for that reason. And that's going to play in a little bit to the conversation tonight. So, before I go ahead and roll the intro, welcome. I know I've taken a bit of a break, honestly. Truly, the news has been too much. It has been all I can do to watch Phil DeFranco and Colbert or Josh Johnson and maybe some Jimmy Kimmel as well. Like that's it. Every now and then I'll put on insert mainstream media here because it kind of doesn't really matter. And I'll watch a little bit of it, but it is well, and I read Heather Cox Richardson in the morning. So I get the amount of news that I need. But this is your every time I meet, I remind you that it is super important to keep us all afloat, to keep us able to fight, to keep us able to resist authoritarianism and all that jazz. It is extremely important that you connect with your community and your family, and whether chosen or given, whichever brings you the most life and friends and that kind of thing. We have to keep it, as the kids say, go touch grass. Like, we have to do that or we're gonna burn ourselves out, and that does nobody any good ever, especially not ourselves. As I have said, I've gotten into the habit with a lot of friends and family of reminding us all that we need to put our oxygen mask on before we can help anybody else with theirs, and that is very important. So, this is your reminder that if you're here and hanging out, what I would love is that we just build our community here, so that we can connect with each other. It's super important. Community is what's going to get us through. It's what gets us through the good times and the bad. So that is my disclaimer on that, because we're in October and That's the start of busy season because there's a lot of stuff that I do as we head into the holidays, and it starts in October. I will tell you, you know what? We will take a little side note. I'm going to go ahead and roll the intro. And then for a little bit of side fun, I will let you know what I did last night, which is the annual family Halloween banquet. I'll give you a little peek into that. And then we'll dive right into the Maine Senate race. So if you are from away, if Maine does not interest you, I'll catch you on the next one. But on your way, do me a favor, do that like, subscribe, notice bell, leave a comment, drop a nope, that phrase left me. Anyway, engage with the channel, especially if you like hanging out here. This is a great community and we like our little get together. So right now I'm going to go ahead and roll the intro. Then I'm going to give you a little we'll set politics on a shelf for a minute and we'll have a little bit of a chitty chat. I'll tell you all about Halloween banquet. Oh, and despite some of her later years problems, Diane Keaton has gone on to the great mystery. So my lovely Diane Keaton, First Wives, I don't know about you, what your Diane Keaton movie is. Mine is First Wives Club. First and always, that is my favorite of hers. I go back to it multiple times. So while I'm rolling the intro, drop your favorite Diane Keaton movie in the chat and your favorite Halloween tradition. We'll have a little chat about that to start. Then we'll move on to the politics of it all. Do I do I ever have my intro pulled up when I need it? No. Hello and welcome to the Unfiltered Tea, a show where we say all the things you wish the newscasters said, unscripted and unfiltered. We talk about politics, pop culture, and courts, so pull up your soapbox, pour yourself a cuppa, and let's go. Let's go. I will try and get this time stamped. You know it always takes me a minute, but timestamps do appear eventually. So last night I did the annual family tradition of Halloween banquet. It started, I don't know, years ago. This is my voluntary family, the family that absorbed me like an amoeba over the last 20 years, give or take. I don't know. I have to ask my nibbling how old they are because I judge it based on her age. And so we gathered together. It started so that we all had a chance to see all of the kids in their costumes, and they had an opportunity to go through all these big, huge animatronics and scary things, and we would have sensory buckets and things like that for them, um, and projects and things like that. And it was always super fun. We would all get dressed up and have this feast of all Halloween themed and things like that. And this year it was kind of weird. It was wonderful. It was an absolutely lovely celebration. And but it was weird because like there aren't any littles. There aren't any littles anymore. I think everybody's at I think the youngest are in there are 13 in there. So there aren't any more littles, but we still myself and the host were the only two all dressed up because we always get dressed up because of course it's Halloween banquet. Um but it's just a nice night to gather, and there were no animatronics this year and stuff like that. I don't know. I think that's gonna last for maybe a year, and then next year we will be back to cursing at it's just tradition to be cursing at these giant 7-foot statues that you have to put up from, the various stores and then getting them plugged in and making sure they work and that kinda thing. So anyway, that's what I did, and for me, a Halloween banquet is always a marker, so for me, it's like Halloween is kind of over and I'm in that in between. It's not. It's still a couple weeks away. I still have lots of fun things up at the house. So anyway, that's what I did this weekend, and that is the kickoff for all of the holiday crazy in my world. So, as you're coming in, drop a comment. I'm really curious. What is your holiday kickoff? Do you celebrate big Halloween things? Is it Thanksgiving? Like, where is the marker at this time of year for your big holiday celebrations? And that is for everybody because I know Rosh Hashanah was just a little while ago. So is that a big deal? I mean, the holidays at this time of year, if memory serves, aren't as big as they are for those of us who are of a secular Christian variety like myself. Yes, it's a thing. We can have a whole show about that at some point. The secular the solstice celebrators that also like to have Christmas trees and Santa everywhere. I'm I'm yeah. So all right, that was the fun little bit. I'm really curious as to your things and now well, let me look at my show notes and see. I feel like I'm forgetting something else. Um I probably am. Somebody will either remember it for me or I will remember it after this is done and I'll go, "Whoops, I guess we didn't do that." So, what I'm gonna do now though is I'm gonna swoop, if I can find my swoop. Where did my swoop? There's my swoop. Don't mind me. It got buried. I've done a lot of fun things. Swoop. So now let us move on to the current Senate race gearing up to happen in Maine at the moment. And I have not found some of the videos yet. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. YouTube gets real salty about that. So we shall see. Um, but there's been rumors for quite some time that Governor Mills was being leaned on by the likes of Chuck Schumer, and I'm going to assume Nancy Pelosi and Hakeem Jeffries and maybe some other movers and shakers in DC to run against Collins for senator. And it sounds to me like maybe she's going to do that, which, okay, Governor Mills, I appreciate that you stood up to Trump. But if anybody's going to be honest about the entire situation, I'm going to pull out a name here. That is something I have said. I've not heard other people say it, but I have frequently joked that Maine has tested out the personalities of those running on the national stage prior to national stage. LePage was kind of an indicator of what Trump would be like. Trump has surpassed even those sorts of ideas for me, but same, same. Janet Mills has always struck me as, oh, mom is saying she has officially thrown in her hat. Is it too late for me to say, Governor Mills, please do the state a favor and sit down? You're 77, ma'am. Retire. You are 77. I'm not saying that you can't keep up with the kiddos, but I also don't think you can do a TikTok the way some of the younger ones can. I mean, I just you just retire. Retire. Go out on a high note. Go out on a high note. See, okay, I'm soapboxing. I am soapboxing early because here's the thing. In my listening to 107 days, Joe Biden's team did him a massive disservice to not say to him out of the gate, be a one-term president. Be a one-term president because there were a whole lot of people back in 2016 that said they were going to vote for Bernie or they were going to vote for Trump. And obviously, they voted for Trump and their reasoning was Trump will break it, Bernie will fix it. And then we can hire somebody to fix it after that. I don't know what it is about the DNC that has not gotten it into their thick head that is a massive voter population, but it is. And you know what they appreciate? People talking to them. As I said, in my head, Governor LePage, when he was governor, was a taste of what a Trump administration would be like on a national scale. Pretty much the same. Governor Mills is I have always compared her to Hillary Clinton because I think there's a lot of similarities between them, apparently including an ego that will not stop. I'm not saying they haven't done some good stuff, but I'm also going to be real about it. So, sorry, my phone was going off on a way that I wanted to check it. So she's done it. She's done the governorship. She's 77. She shouldn't hop in because months and months ago, Jordan Wood threw his hat into the ring. And I was like, all right, he's pretty good. He's pretty good. I would go check him out. Truly check him out. Also, chat. I have linked Ballotpedia, their website, in the description of this video. They are a great resource. You can go check and see who's endorsed whom. You can go back for years. You can check out, it's a great resource for locals, local elections and stuff like that. Because I don't know if your state does this. If you are not in Maine, I don't know if you have the same problem. In Maine, sometimes it feels like people running for local election don't want anybody to know who they are, like, ever. So it can be a bit tricky to get the information that you need. Ballotpedia is fantastic for that. I have often used them for resource. If you've got another resource that you would like to share, please leave it in the comments. I am here for that. So backing up, Jordan would cast his hat in the ring. He seems to be a lovely gay man, married, kids, from Maine. Worked for Katie Porter, I believe, for a while. Although, honestly, that team must be scrambling because of her recent gaffe. I do not envy that particular team at the moment. It seems like he has some pretty good ideas. Tonight, get comfy because I'm gonna bring my own personal thoughts, and I'm gonna be super real and super blunt. I don't think Jordan has what it takes to go against Collins. I don't think he has what it takes to get some of the votes that we need in this state. I don't think, and it's not about being married to a man. It's not about that. Honestly, it has to do with the charisma and the star power, because in this kind of a race, in these times, I mean, at any point in time, you need somebody with a bit of star power, but in these times, you need somebody who's got that punch, that person you remember almost immediately. Um, and that is one of the other folks who has hopped into the race, which is Graham Plattner. If you have been to see him, let me know. I was actually going back and forth with a friend tonight, and actually I'm going to pull up her commentary on here, because she said that I could. So I'm not going to show you any of the things, but I will call out her business, which is Bats in the Belfry. She is a small creator. She does amazing things. My uterus back here, my mad old uterus back here, that is one of hers. I probably pointed at it wrong because I have my camera flipped, but her thoughts on Mills are she can be bought and paid for just like Collins. They're opposite sides of the same coin in her opinion. I think that's a good call on that one. Um, and time for someone who knows what it's like for the working class, not the social elites like lawyers and attorney generals. And that is where Graham Plattner enters the chat. Um, and he's got a lot of energy. Bernie endorsed him. My memory is that Bernie doesn't just endorse folks that he hasn't vetted. That could be wishful thinking on my end, but he's pretty astute at picking stars, and he's pretty astute at picking folks who will go to work for the majority of the citizens. Dad is coming in saying the DNC lifelong Democratic leaders, i.e., politicians, are actually fine with Trump and MAGA because the big Dem donors still benefit economically when the GOP is in power. I mean, yeah, let's be real. This tariffs, all of the craziness that's happening in the markets, I'm feeling it. I'm sure you're feeling it. You know who isn't? Chucky Schumer. Am I going to keep calling him that? Yeah. Yeah, I am. Because he's made me real mad lately. He really has. Um, because what we need right now, we need somebody who can, how to put this? What Trump and MAGA have done is they have really ended any of the rules of decorum we thought we had before. They aren't there. They're just not there. And that means that this strongly worded letter bullshit doesn't mean anything. It's a nice thing to say, but it doesn't do anything. It doesn't put forth legislation. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't solve the problem. And most of the time, when Schumer says he's sending a strongly worded letter, it's to Trump, who is well known not to do a lot of deep reading. So I don't even think it's going anywhere. And Stephen Miller's just going to read it and toss it in the bin. Um, Dad is saying, I will see if I can link this in the description as well when I do timestamps. Dad is saying people should hunt up Bernie Sanders' No Oligarchs tour from Portland, Maine to hear Graham Plattner's speech. Absolutely. And go follow him on Instagram because I'll see if I can pull it up while we are here. But he had a spectacular moment at a town hall the other day. Graham Plattner did, that I have dubbed his John McCain moment because he was interacting. There was one MAGA person in the crowd, and the crowd really turned on this person. And he shut the crowd down and said, no, no. And he laid out, because Fox News, I mean, a lot of MAGA voters don't know they're voting against their own self interest because Fox News has news in the title. And so they have been led to believe that it is fact based news. It's not. There have been multiple lawsuits. I think some of my favorites are people suing Tucker Carlson and Fox News winning those lawsuits on the basis that no reasonable person could believe what Tucker Carlson was saying. So if that has been played out in court, it is straight up propaganda, and we're looking at 2+ generations of people who have been raised only with that rhetoric, only with that propaganda, and, truly, I'm not saying any of the others are better. I've listed where I get my news, and it's not on basic cable. It's just not. I mean, some of it is, but that's Jimmy Kimmel and, well, Jimmy Kimmel isn't even on basic cable. That's The Daily Show and things like that, but for the most part, I'm on YouTube. I'm finding creators who are aiming to put out factual information because if they don't, their audience leaves. If their audience leaves, they don't have income. And I mean, that works with propaganda too. Look at uh, Candace Owens, and is that her actual name? And anyway, the entire Joe Rogan and Andrew Tate and all of those guys. I mean, the opposite can be found, but I think when you find folks who um, agree that facts are friends, you tend to stick with them. Anyway, this is long. This is a rambly thing. Let us go through. Let me back up because we haven't gotten to Plattner yet either. So let me swoop. Let me give a little rundown on what caught my eye with Plattner. His opening ad, I was like, oh, that's who I'm backing. And then I found out Bernie had endorsed him. And then I saw um, the No Oligarchs tour speech. And then I followed him on the socials, and the man has social media game in a way that, frankly, Jordan doesn't. And I guarantee Mills doesn't. So, and that's a real thing. That is, and that's I want to connect that in with listening to Kamala Harris's book because she did something that was brilliant. And nobody focused on it, nobody talked about it, and honestly, they should have. They shoulda looked at it and said and guys like Schumer shoulda looked at that and said, how do we get here?" Because part of the reason guys like Schumer want Mills to run is because they don't understand when somebody like Harris runs a fricking amazing campaign. They don't understand somebody like Graham Plattner. Because the thing is, somebody like Graham Plattner, from everything I've seen so far, I reserve the right to change my opinion about any and all of these candidates. He strikes me as a candidate, Plattner does, that doesn't give a flying fuck which side of the aisle you're on. Are you going to work for the people? Yes? Great. Let's work together. And if you're not, cool. Bye. I'm not dealing with this. And that is ultimately what we need because the partisanship is just ridiculous. And the folks who are the stars in the House and in the Senate are the progressives. They're not the middle of the road. It's just because the the pendulum, that's the word I'm looking for, has swung so far to the right that honest to goodness, the middle of the road looks like the radical left. The middle of the road looks is Bernie Sanders. Oh my goodness. And we've got dogs here. Let me do a swoop. Let's go over Plattner a little bit. You will see my cousin dog, I guess, in the background, who's deciding to have her YouTube debut because she's staying here while my aunt and uncle are over having a grand vacation in Bath, the English version, the original Bath. So let me swoop, swoop, swoop. All right, Plattner. His first um his first ad, which I was gonna look up and then I realized I've only seen it through a different content creator, but his first ad made me stop and go, I've never wanted to watch a political ad all the way through. And I did. I was like, oh shit. That looks like the guy. And then Bernie came out and endorsed him. And I was like, Bernie endorsed that guy? I'm so confused right now. Veteran, oyster farmer, harbor master, who honestly has the vibe, whether it's true or not, I don't think it matters, of "Ugh, nobody else is going to do this job. Fine. I'm just going to go ahead and do it. His social media game is on point. He has the best, he is a spectacular team because let's be real. Who's watching TV these days? Not a lot of us. And the classic ways of getting donations and getting information out there and stuff like that, it's all changed. It changed a lot with, Obama, and then it changed drastically in 2016. Is it what cost Hillary the election? In a lot of ways, it was. In a lot of ways, it was. Also, there were a lot of people, myself included, that hated Hillary Clinton, didn't want to vote for her, thought she was a great Secretary of State, never wanted her to be president. Can't make me. I did vote for her, but it was like, "Ooh." um, and social media is where it's at these days. Can you go on a podcast? Can you sit down with a creator like me or a creator like Phil DeFranco for national recognition? Um, and have a conversation and reach those people. Can you throw up a TikTok? Can you send out a tweet or a thread that is catchy, that goes viral, right? Those are the moments people are paying attention to, and Plattner has them in droves. His social media team is 10 out of 10. How does that relate to Kamala Harris? Well, she lets us know in her book that when she was designing her campaign for president on the fly, very last minute, um, that she had it geared properly, right? So the demographic for Facebook was boomers because boomers are mostly on Facebook. The demographic for Instagram, the Instagram posts were elder millennials, me, Gen X and elder millennials. She's spot on. That's where I hang out a lot. That's where I do a lot of my scrolling and sending memes back and forth to friends. TikTok was the generation below us that I lost the alpha Z, all of that. So then there was TikTok, and then there was where the Gen Alphas said. Anyway, I've lost generations. The younger ones, um, where they were all hanging out. And it worked. It worked. And the messaging was geared towards those demographics because the same messaging that works for my mom and dad isn't going to work for me necessarily. The messaging that works for me is not going to work for my nephew. Um, and it goes on and on that way. And Plattner definitely came out of the gate with a political ad that I didn't even know if he was a Democrat, a progressive. I had no idea. It was only that he's talking about universal health care and fighting the oligarchy and that kind of thing that I went, oh, oh, you're on my side. But there was a real main first quality to that ad as well. And he's going after the guys. I knew a lot of folks that said they were going to vote for Bernie or vote for Trump. They were going to vote for Bernie to fix things or they were going to vote for Trump to break them. And it seems like Plattner is going for the voters that made that decision. That because he's coming at us with a message of we got to fix it. And that's a good message. Jordan from Maine, my personal take at this point, it's the same reason I don't think Pete Buttigieg should be president. It has nothing to do with his personality, or his policy. Personality is part of it. Do I think they can do the job? Yeah. But it's a battle of star power right now, and we need stars. And they aren't stars. They're very good at other things. They're not stars. And I think Jordan Wood seems less progressive and more middle of the road to me. I could be wrong. I haven't seen much from him. I've seen a lot more of Graham Plattner. And that tells me what the algorithm is pushing out there too. Um, Dad said the problem is whether the team capable of using great social media messaging to hit different demographics is working for a candidate who actually means what the messaging says. Yes. I mean, that's Gavin Newsom. Perfect example. I got to be honest here. His team, 10 out of 10 no notes. Social media messaging, absolutely. I wouldn't trust I I'm not going to vote for him if he decides to throw his hat in the ring for president. Um I mean, I'd vote for him over the authoritarian insanity that is happening, but I would feel about that the same way I feel about Hillary Clinton. So, let me know what your thoughts are on these candidates. I think this is going to be a very interesting primary. I hope that Maine chooses the best option for us in that primary, which leads me to the electability problem. This came up with Hillary. They said Bernie wasn't electable. But there were so many people who would vote for Bernie or Trump, and though they voted for Trump because of the electability problem. Because they thought, well, nobody's going to go for a progressive. How do you know that? Oh, that's right. You don't talk to the working class people. You just assume that we're going to vote for you because we are very much against the other guys. Well, how's that worked out for us recently? Not well. Not well. Maybe you should come down off of your pedestal and actually have a conversation with your constituents also. I am so tired. This is my own personal opinion, my own personal soapbox, my own personal rant here. I am so freaking tired of hearing about the middle voters, the suburban white straight men between 50 and 70 that are apparently the only electorate that matters. You're not. You're not. Sorry. You are a part of the electorate. Yeah. But a whole lot of us are voters as well. So I'm tired of hearing about that middle of the road thing because like I said before, it I don't know. I swear at this point they only find them for polls and polling because I the majority of people look at anytime Jasmine Crockett does anything, it goes viral. It's not going viral because she's reaching the middle of the road. It's going viral because she's connecting with a much bigger group of people. It's about community, it's about connecting. And the DNC has done a real crap job of that for the last 15 years. Kamala got us closer and she was overmanaged and it didn't it Dez's electability is entirely aimed at middle class, middle of the road suburbanites. Yeah. And with the wealth distribution getting completely out of whack, there's not enough of that group to matter. To, the whole like we think of Hillary Clinton that didn't spend enough time in minority areas and poor areas under the basis under the thinking of who else are they going to vote for? Well, guess what? That group, that suburban middle of the road group, um, that includes like, I mean, it doesn't, but that is the group the Dems are trying to get at, and that includes Liz Cheney, who's not a Democrat. She'd very much like to go back to not being a Democrat, I'm sure. Um, that's a small number. It just I don't know the exact numbers. If somebody has them, please let me know. I'm thinking see, I'm middle age. So I'm not even sure that we are thinking of middle age in this group either. I think we're thinking more boomer age, which I love ya, is not middle age anymore. Um it's a demographic it's a problematic demographic, but that more moderate, i.e., right wing light, what the Republicans used to be, um, that's the demographic that we're talking about. And if you want to have a demographic that's going to vote for you because it's better than the alternative and you don't have to do much, I think that's it. The other thing is getting people to the polls. The older generations are much more likely to go to the ballot box because, okay, I am of the generation where my very first election was the 2000 hanging Chad debacle. So I haven't had a great launch pad to elections. And there's a lot of folks like me that feel disenfranchised and frustrated, like our representatives don't represent us, don't care to represent us, don't care to talk to us, and honestly don't care about us. And I feel that across this is why so many people my age are like no politics because it goes across the aisle. It's there's a lot of people that I know that I get along with very well and we vote completely opposed. And I care about them and I know they care about me. And we need to get back to that being okay and being a part of it. But the other thing is, we got to have people in there that aren't politicians. It's why people voted for Trump. In a lot of ways, in round one, like I said, Bernie or Trump, Bernie to fix it, Trump to break it. We're gonna need people in office who can fix it. And I don't think Janet Mills is gonna have to put on a really, really good case, and it can't be, "But look, I told him to that I'd see him in court." It can't be that. That's not gonna fly. We need more. We need fight. We need somebody who's gonna actually have a conversation, and somebody who is going to force the political opponents into a conversation, not a debate of some one-line talking points, not what are our how can we poll the best? What one-liners can we poll the best with? That's not gonna go far. Um, and dad coming in again. In any other democracy, Bernie Sanders' positions are labeled center or possible center left, nowhere near far left radical. Correct. On a global scale, the progressives are centrists. When you look globally in most of these areas, progressive ideas, just the idea of basic health care, basic education for everybody, um, taxes to pay for it, and high taxes on the uber wealthy because Elon Musk can't spend his billions before he goes. It's just not possible. Put a lot of it back in, build the infrastructure. Um, let's have a society where we are all very well educated and we don't worry about what happens if we trip and fall and break a foot or something. Um, never mind anything major. That's what we need to be looking at, and so as Maine goes, so goes the nation. So far, we have, um, a 77-year-old woman who was a great attorney general for the state, navigated us brilliantly out of the LePage era and through, um, COVID and all of that, but honestly, is a bit to the right. There's, my friend that I was talking with earlier has issues with how she's gone about some the local power company, CMP corridor and things like that because of her family connections. Don't love that. Didn't love it in the first place. Um, and dad says Shayna Bellows, Maine's current AG, who has been the legal beagle standing up to the administration, is running in the Dem primary to be their candidate for governor. She may be worth supporting. Yeah, yeah, she might be worth supporting. I like what she's done, and that feels like a step in the right direction for governor. While we are here talking Maine, um, couple of things on the I'm gonna swoop, and we're gonna talk about question 1. I do not have it pulled up. It is a poorly worded Maine, can we word questions better? I know it's a constitutional rule that it has to be worded so it's yes or no, but oh my goodness, does it make things complicated sometimes. So, um, 50, I can do with 50. 50 is good. I would like to see more representatives on a everywhere there is somebody in government. Can we stop having the majority be in their 70s and 80s? Please. Please. I just I love you. You're wonderful. You did a lot. But there's still a lot of that group, especially the older ones, that, like, don't know how the internet works, and we need to revise things like Section 230, and we need people who, can process that information in a different way than some of the older ones. Um I could go on and on about that, but this is, yes, dad ranked choice voting. Ranked choice voting, I'm very much ranked choice voting. There are other options other than ranked choice voting. We gotta do something. We gotta do something. That's a whole different show. I'm gonna swoop. I am going to wait. Now I've lost the thread. Guys, the squirrel, I'm gonna squirrel swoop because I lost the thread. Maybe it'll come back by the time we get back here. I don't know. Maybe. Squirrel swoop. I remember. Question 1. Question 1 here in Maine would very much, despite what the right wing is saying, the right wing would like you to think that it won't really change voting at all. It will. It will. It will. In Maine, we have some of the best options for voting. Same day registration. You can walk in, you can say, I'm this person, I live here. You can have your information. You can vote that day. Sorry, my in ears are having a moment. Um, I love this. I once lived in a state for a while where I was so used to that I thought it was everywhere, and I was a bad little monkey and I didn't vote, and I wish that I had. It turned out okay, but let me tell you, I still remember that 2008 is the year that I couldn't vote because I didn't register in time because I'm just used to being able to walk in and vote, and I don't understand why we can't do that, and I don't understand why people wanna take that away. Like, come on. If you can find we have such low voter turnout in this country anyway. uh, it should be a national holiday. We should have a quorum rule in this country. It is a civic duty to vote, in my own personal opinion. I don't wanna make people vote, but I feel like we need to do a better job of educating people about the whole civics process in school from the get-go so that more people feel the way that I do, which is it is a civic duty and we should vote. We should make our voices heard. And in order to do that, we need to make elections secure, yes, but also super, super easy to do. The harder you make it, the less the harder you make it to vote, the less people vote, which is the point for an authoritarian regime. They want only their people to go vote. I live in a town right now where our representative voted early to vote to prevent early voting again. I just it's ridiculous to me. Voter fraud is a it, some basics as I understand it. Paper ballots like we have in Maine with the special little bubbles like we have in Maine so that they scan really quickly, but should you need human beings to double check to make sure that there isn't a big discrepancy, you can do that. It gets fed into a machine, it gets tallied. I it's not that make voting fun, okay? I this idea that you have to wait in super long lines and you can't have snacks and you have to have 47 pieces of identification. I don't know if any of you have tried to get a real ID, but the ID requirements to get a real ID keep changing. It's hard. It's hard to do that. It's not hard, especially these days, to figure out who somebody is or to catch somebody who is committing fraud. It's a made up problem, and it's a made up problem designed to get people to think it's super big so that they will vote for this. And if they vote for this, I promise you, if question 1 passes, passes? Correct me if I'm wrong. Do I have that flipped? I always flip them, and I'm sorry. Do I it anyway, all of the absentee ballots and things like that, there's gonna be just it's gonna be a shit show. Also, do you know somebody deployed at the moment? They are going to be super affected by this. Read the question. Ballotpedia has sample ballots. They've got the question laid out. Actually, let me see if I can get the actual question here. Let me see if I can do this. While we're here, I'll pull it up and then while I am oh, no, this is going to be cuz the thing is, we're in Maine, you might not be in Maine. Check Ballotpedia for your local elections. Look at the question. Um my general rule of thumb is if it makes it harder to vote, vote against that because we don't have enough people voting as it is because a 22-year-old works the schedule that their corporate or small business job tells them to work. If they're working a very long shift or they have a huge commute, they might not be able to get back to their place to vote in person. So, in doing that, you can do your civic duty by requesting an absentee ballot or popping in. And for a lot of folks who are unable to get out and about, I think it's perfectly fine to have a friend or family member request your ballot for you. I have no issues with that because you know what? They ain't voting. Your name will be on it. That's the it's just it assumes that people are going to try and do things which in my own personal opinion gets into projection. If you assume that I am going to steal from you, I have to assume that you've already stolen from me. Is kind of the mentality, right? If I am, and I am, a default trusting person, it's because I default to doing things that I would deem trustworthy. And so the more you tell me that you're worried about people faking votes, the more I'm going, what are you planning on doing? It's like the entire yeah, it's a solution inventing the problem, as dad says. It's not a thing that needs fixing. It's just not. It's just we have so many things we could focus on. This shouldn't be one of them. Um anyway, that's my soapbox rant for things here. Um, I am going to go to Graham Plattner's town hall in Lewiston this week. I will let you know what that is like. We will see. Maybe my opinion of the man will change after I see him in person. And who knows, maybe I will be coming to you from volunteering for the campaign next. I have no idea. We will see. Also, No Kings Rally. The little sign behind me, we have another No Kings Rally coming up. I know a lot of you that hang out with me are like me, feel like we should have a democracy and not an autocracy. And no Kings Rally again on October 18th. I know that the administration would like to call it a Hates America rally, but here's the thing about that. They haven't been able to understand the Constitution um in quite some time or the First Amendment, and they don't know what that means. So I'm not sure they know what it means. I, for one, love this country. I love the country I was raised in. I don't like seeing it set on fire, proverbially speaking. And that's kind of what we're looking at. So I am going to do my level best to be at that No Kings rally. I've already been to one. I want to see your pictures. Send me your pictures. Tag me on Insta. Are you a Cats on the Couch fan too? Because I love those pictures as well. Send them across the board. Um, Mom coming in, I think those of us in our 70s and beyond really need to think about how we felt about the older ones who were in charge when we were in our 30s and 40s. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Because the thing is, I'm going to be in my 70s by like I'm going to blink and it's going to happen. So I can we make this 80-year-olds please just can we force them to retire across the board? Supreme Court, everybody. I'm here for age limits. I am. We have a minimum age requirement, age limits, please. Dad says we need the presumptions that pertain to court judgments to link to politics. Better a few fraudulent votes and more voters than keeping citizens from voting. Yeah, handle it in the court. Handle it in the court. If you're got like let's just deal with it on the court end because there's not enough people committing fraud for us to put measures in place to like and anytime anybody like does fraudulently vote, they're caught so fast. Every time I hear one of these cases, they're caught so fast. We don't need to worry about that. We just need to yeah, as dad says, this is better a guilty person goes free than an innocent one is convicted. That is what this nation is built on. That is what the laws of this nation are built on this very principle. Same when it comes to voting. More voting, better. When it comes to this Senate race, if you are not in Maine, buckle up, Buttercup, because Maine is going to be lit with this Senate race this year. The three candidates already throwing their hats in the ring. There is one I like, one I'm okay with, and one I would like her to just please go home. Please just retire. But I'm also here for a big ol' primary. What I'm not here for is the movers and shakers in DC putting their hand on the scale in my state in this way. Just endorse who we pick and otherwise stop meddling in our business. Sorry, I'm a little fired up. Little fired up. Um says there's lots of ways older former legislators can still be involved, perhaps even more effectively than running forever. Yeah, uh-huh, absolutely. You know what you can do? You can find the stars. Find the stars, pass the torch. Why is it so hard to pass the torch these days? That's a whole nother show. I'm not going to go there now. It's a whole nother show. Anyway, we should look at some of the stars happening. And all of that. I have no idea, guys, when I'm gonna be back. Dad Dad says Jimmy Carter. He was great. He was great at uplifting people. I have found out by listening to Kamala's 107 Days book, she's also a good one. She pulled a lot of the stars into her office to discuss with them their future and what they wanted to do. Um, and honestly, I'm curious as to her thoughts and opinions on some of these stars and where we are at right now because I think we have some really good opportunities coming our way. And I'd like to see some of these stars or basically some of the people who annoy the ever loving bejesus out of Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. I would love to see them just come on up and get all the votes and kick everybody else's butt. That's what I would like to see. Also, Pelosi, dear Lord, ma'am, you've done great. Please retire. Retire. Let somebody else run, preferably under the age of 65. Okay, that would be wonderful. With that, I'm going to swoop one more time. We'll do some catch up for the rest of the evening. I have no idea what we're going to talk about. The fire hose of news is on all of the time. Swoop, swoop. All right. I'm going to wind down tonight because, well, we finally have one sleeping hound, and I don't know where the other one is, but now, yeah. Anyway, it's back to work for me tomorrow. If you had a long weekend, I hope you enjoyed it. Um, and I had another thought with that. I don't know what that was. I don't know if I will be back on Sunday or not. Probably not. We have a house guest coming. There's no kings. You know what, guys? This is where I'm gonna say follow me on Threads, follow me on Instagram. That is where you get the most up to date. It's the Aurora H. White. That's me on all the socials. That's where you get the most information. I know we like to gather on Sunday, but please let me know if there is a better night for you. Usually when I do these, Sunday's like hit or miss. Monday's seeming to go pretty well, and then midweek is sometimes more, sometimes less. It kind of depends. So I'm here for it. Let me know. Let me know when you want to gather because I can figure out moving that around. Also, the next 3 months, I'm just gonna say this right now, housekeeping, next 3 months are gonna be kind of insane because we've got the holidays coming, we've got house guests happening, we've got the No Kings rally, we have the election, we have all kinds of stuff, and it's year end, and in my line of work, year end is also crazy, which reminds me, ladies and gentlemen, if you are a lawyer and you do hourly billing and you have somebody like me doing your bills for you, this is your mid-month reminder to please not drop everything on them at the end of the month. That would be wonderful, unless pre-planned. Anyway, work with your biller. We're in quarter 4 for most uh places, and things get a little wild. So, my day job as comes first, and so sometimes I'm just tired because there's a lot of numbers in my job, and I getting on here, I love getting on here, but sometimes it's just a lot. So let me know what day works, that you want to get together and hang out. That would be great. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for being here. Thanks for hanging with us. Um, what's going on in your state, in your town? Also, ladies and gentlemen, before I go, if you know people running in the super, super local elections, that kind of thing, if you've got a lead on that, if you've got information, first of all, I would love to chat with these local representatives and provide them an opportunity to get their information, message, all of that out there, especially here in Maine. But it's really important that even at the most basic level, school board, somebody running for school board. I never know. I know a lot of teachers, but I never know what we're looking at for school board. These are the elections that matter as much, if not more, than the national. Um, so anyway, I invite anybody to come on and chat with me in those departments. And if you happen to catch this and you're watching, please, 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 and hey, this candidate is my neighbor. They think this, and this. Please leave that comment. Let us know because it would be super helpful. Neighbors have to help neighbors. We've got to help each other navigate this crazy little system that we have. And it's always good to know who's running for what. And if somebody has some more personal information, even if it's just, they hit me with the back of their car in the supermarket and got mad at me, okay, that's hearsay, but we will take that in as part of our decision making. Anyway, it's about to get real. We are gearing up for all sorts of things, and the election is coming up. I will do the work I can on our local end, but yeah. I don't know when I'll be back. I'm going to aim for Sunday, but who the heck knows? Keep a look on the socials. It's been lovely to hang with you. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have a fantastic week. You are amazing. As always, be well, do good, and remember to bark a lot, especially at that No Kings rally. Thanks for joining us for another episode of The Unfiltered Tea. Don't forget to hit that like button. If you have a story you want our unfiltered take on, go ahead and drop it in the comments, and we will see you next time.